Good evening, all. So we have come back with our famous introduction. We should start. This is a very interesting topic, which is about self-awareness. And self-awareness, how we can understand ourselves and our interaction with the environment around us, how we can understand the thoughts that is controlling our life, and the thoughts that we like, and the beliefs that affect our daily interaction with our environment. This is actually what is called the concept of identity and self. And the concept of the self consists of many ideas that have been embedded in the human being through their environments, through the big ideas that are controlling their societies. It could be ideas that are coming from religion. It could be ideas that are coming from tradition. It could be ideas that is coming from political perspectives. It could be ideas that are coming from scientific thought. It could be ideas that is coming from emotional attachment, like love and hate and anger and so on. It could be ideas that are associated with experiences, and it could be ideas that are associated with interests. So this is a very big topic, which is about understanding ourselves and understanding our behavior, and why we behave in a certain way at a particular situation. And in many cases, many people does not understand why they behave in this particular way, and why they choose to behave in this way, and why they would like to behave in a let me say, why they would like to defend a particular concept or a particular principles. And let me give you an example about how these contradictions happen when there is not enough understanding of yourself, or that there is not enough understanding of your identity. So one of these things is about, for example, when Taliban planted drugs in Afghanistan, they start selling it, and they don't want to talk about like drugs, but let us say an example. So a religious person is selling drugs and saying this is something that is legal because it's providing financial aid, and this financial aid can help us in different activities that we consider to be good for the society. So this kind of behavior is saying that our identity tells us we are responsible for bringing finance to our community, no matter what is the means that we choose to do. And in Islam, even our community is controlled by Islam as a main religion, and it prohibits selling drugs. We are willing to do this if this means that it supports our society. And we can see this in a very small groups, maybe in Afghanistan and maybe in another place. This kind of thought is some kind of contradictory. So the people who are doing it, they are not really they are not sure what is their identity. What do they belong to? Are they belonging to money? Or do they belong to money, or they belong to Islam? Or they belong to behavior, or they belong to interest? And things like that. It's important for human beings to understand themselves. And another example is the role of women in a person's life, and this is something that is shaped by many people within the society. So let me say, in a Western kind of thought, women should be independent, and they should be able to earn their income, and they should be able to support themselves. And if they are willing to build a family, most probably it should be a shared contribution between both parties. However, we can see in kind of Eastern thought that men are the one who are responsible for financing the family, and they should be able to do that. And this thought is coming from a very long time, where women worked in agriculture and men worked in hunting. So men are stronger, and they are much biologically stronger. So they should be responsible for bringing meat and bringing goods and bringing treasures to homes, because they are the ones who are biologically stronger. However, while things has changed in our society, some societies, and sometimes in Eastern societies, and they think no, women are designed to do some kind of housework, and they are not designed to work outside. And it's very embarrassing for a man to do some kind of housework. It's very embarrassing for a man to cook for himself because he's a man, and the man does not do these things. You are a man, and what does it mean to be a man? So you are a man, you should not be cook. You are a man, you should not clean your clothes. You are a man, you should not be doing this household stuff because you are a man. And what does it mean to be a man? And this is the concept of many people, that they think women should take care of their children, and men should bring money to their homes, and they should not be thinking about a shared contribution between between men and women in terms of establishing a family. So this is concept is coming that is associated with the identity. What does it mean to be a man? And if a person could not answer this question, he will look for answers from within his environment. He will look, what does it to be a man for my father? What does it to be a man for my cousin? What does it to be a man for our leader? And what does it to be a man in my religion? What does it to be a man in the political in a political argument? And what does it to be a man in the street? What does it to be a man in different perspective? So based on his experience and his interactions with his environment and his belief and in what meanings being a man entails, he builds his identity. Or what does it mean to be a woman? He builds his identity around this thought, and he chooses to be either he chooses to be the man that his environment has shaped his that shaped his identity. Some men successfully think about what does it mean to be a man, and sometimes they do activities that they consider to be that they previously considered that these activities are associated with women rather than with men. So understanding yourself and understanding what concepts affect you and what concepts affect your life is fundamentally important in shaping who you are. Now let's talk about other concepts. So we talked about like contradictions, and sometimes we talk about we talked about what does it mean to be a man for identity, and what does it mean to be a woman, and sometimes what does it to be honest, or what does it to be good. And what does it to be good is a very important element. So what does it mean to be a good father, or what does it to be a good parent? And sometimes this entails providing money for my kids is about being a good father. And some people say, no, actually, I should provide money, and I should provide care, and I should provide time, and I should provide education. And some people say, no, I can't provide education for my kids, but I can send them to schools, and this is what I can do. I can't actually send them to university, but I actually can help them growing up. So it's about, what does it mean to be good father, and what are my responsibilities, and what are my rights? And these kind of concepts highly affects who we are, and highly affects the concepts that are affecting our life. And some concepts are like, what does it mean to be a Muslim, or what does it mean to be good, or what does it mean to be just, or what does it mean to be yourself, who you are. So without taking the time in thinking these questions and building on your interactions and taking feedbacks from your interaction with the environment and with the different cultures that you have been interacting with, and looking at the best way that you would like to live your life, many cases you will see yourself dragged into actions that in many cases you did not choose, or in many cases you was not responsible for choosing. And one of the things is about ambition. And what are my ambition? What is my vision? Where I would like to see myself after a particular point of time? What does it mean to be successful? And this is, what does it mean to be successful? It means different things for different people. And it's part of who you are. It's part of your identity. It's part of how you are thinking. So what does it mean to be successful in a different perspective? So having a good job and having an income and having a family means that you are successful. And in other contexts, having a job and having A business can be successful, and other contexts, building a capital can be successful, and in another context, just having an influence on others and being respected by the society around you is the most important element of success, to have an influence. So different people think about success in different ways, and it's not wrong or right. And what is important about shaping your identity, this is not wrong or right, this is who you are. So if I think about success, that having a stable career and establishing a family, and this is will be a successful life for myself, then you will be working for that. If I think about that success is about building a multi-million-dollar organization, so you would be trying to do this. But if you did not have the identity to think about this, if you did not think what does it mean to be successful thoroughly, you will end up being dragged on the major concepts that is affecting your environment. And in many cases, you would not be sure, is this who I am or this is not who I am? And you would always be thinking, what kind of, you would always be thinking, am I doing this right? Am I successful enough, or I'm not successful enough? Am I doing the right thing in my world, or I'm not doing the right thing in my world? Am I doing the right thing in my community, or I'm not doing the right thing in my community? And without thinking about these things and building the principles that affect your life and building the values and building the meaning behind your life, you would always see yourself in a position of contradiction, or in a position of conflict, or in a position of lack of confidence. So I always encourage that you should take your time to think about your ambitions, to think about your values, to think about the principles that is affecting you, to think about that principles that are affecting your society. So let me give you some examples from my life. So I have been, after I graduate from my master's degree, I was thinking maybe it would be very difficult for me to learn coding. And why it would be, I said it would be very difficult for me to learn coding, because I built an argument around it. Coding takes a long time, and it's a right argument. Coding takes a long time. You already did not study coding. You are a civil engineer, so you should not spend your time thinking about coding. And it might be you should always think about how you can utilize the people who can code rather than coding yourself. And I was put in a position where I have to do coding by myself. I did not learn coding yet, but I think just thinking that coding is difficult and coding will take a very long time, and embedding this within your mindset actually hinder you from being progressive and from learning. So it's very important that you adopt the right principles, and it's very important because even after you adopt them, in order for them, you always say it's always good to be honest, and you lie all the time. So even if you adopt them, it will take you some time to implement them. So I always encourage thinking positively and thinking in a way that help you to understand yourself in a way that align with your interests, with your ambitions, with your goals. That is being said, this is the concept of self is a very interesting concept, and should always understand what are the main ideas that are controlling my life, what are the things that I like, what are the things that I dislike. And you should have a clear opinion about it, and you should have a clear opinion what are the things that you enjoy and what are the things that you don't enjoy. And based on this, you would be able to have a more peaceful life. You would be able to be more in touch with your emotions, to have a more fulfilling life, because because not thinking about these things will actually put you in a passive positions against the major arguments and the major thoughts within your society. And it always better to have an active role to build your values, to build your principles, build your emotions, rather than being fed from others and not to think for yourself. So it's great that you should. I would always advise that you take the time to build your identity, and you will always take the time to understand who you are, and to understand who's your potential partner, and to understand what is my potential future would look like, and what is my potential future I hope that it looked like. Whether it happened or did not happen, it's important that you become in touch with what you think should happen. because this shapes who you are, and this affects highly affects your behavior, and it highly affects your motivation, and it highly affects how you interact with the environment around you. That was my talk about self-awareness, and I will be seeing you tomorrow, same time, 8:30 Amman time, in Arabic, 8:45 in English, Amman time, and I shall end with my famous closure. Salam!